I love to work out. I love everything about it. My training currently consists of a hybrid of powerlifting, bodybuilding, and running. Because this is such a big hobby of mine, I naturally follow a lot of fitness influencers on Instagram and YouTube, and I even pay attention to other people at the gym. And I compare myself to these people pretty often. For example, lately, I've been trying to run more to train for some races I have later this year. So when I'm at the gym and I'm on the treadmill, I set it at a very low speed that I can maintain for a while, because if I go too fast, I get winded really quickly. But once in a while, I will look over to the person running next to me and I'll look on their screen and I'll see that they're going twice as fast as I am. Now, let me give you an idea of some of the thoughts that run through my head at this moment. Oh my God, they're going so fast. How are they going so fast? They've been on this treadmill longer than I have. I'm going so slow and my feet are killing me already. I suck at running. How will I ever become as good as them at running? Is it even worth trying? I think everyone can relate to this in some way. We've all had a time in our life where we compared ourselves to someone else and it's made us feel worse as a result. Well, a 2017 study researching comparison defines two types of comparison. There's upward comparison, which is when you compare yourself to someone who is in some way better off than you. And there's downward comparison, which is the opposite. It's when you compare yourself to someone who is in some way worse off than you. Now, social comparison doesn't always lead to you feeling worse. Both of these types of comparison can go either way in terms of positively or negatively affecting your mental health. If someone is doing better than you, then it can be either inspiring or depressing. If someone is doing worse than you, then it can give you some relief, or it can get you thinking about your own situation possibly getting worse in the future. Existing research shows that humans have a preference to do upward comparisons more often than downward comparisons. We tend to be less satisfied with what we have, so we're always looking up to a standard we believe we should be achieving. So for the rest of this video, that's what I'll be focusing on. So in what ways does upward social comparisons negatively affect us? Well, they certainly have the potential to increase feelings of anxiety and lower self-esteem. A study was conducted comparing college students' mood when looking at image-conscious photos versus control photos. And in the results, they found that looking at image-conscious photos related to increased negative mood and increased feelings of anxiety. What else? There's another study conducted testing the link between risk-taking and inequality. And the researchers of the study found that higher risk-taking was driven by upward social comparisons. Although this study was focused on income inequality, I believe the findings translate into other types of inequality as well. For example, if you were to compare your social life to someone else's relatively better social life, and you were to feel some sort of inequality between yours and theirs, then you're more likely to engage in risky behaviors to try to close that gap between you and them. So why do we compare ourselves to other people so much? One explanation for this is the social comparison theory. This theory claims that humans have a desire to evaluate themselves. We want to evaluate our opinions, our abilities, our characteristics in order to define ourselves. And one way we evaluate ourselves is comparing ourselves to other people. We try to determine where we stand in relation to someone else. Now that we know a little bit about social comparisons and how it can negatively affect your mental health, what can we actually do about it? For the rest of this video, I'm going to tell you about 3 tactics that have helped me when I compare and feel worse as a result of it. Now, these aren't all backed by research I could find, but they have all helped me, and it might be helpful for you too. You could add it to your own mental toolkit to pull out when you catch yourself comparing. But before we get into that, I just want to remind you that if you're new here, to subscribe, and if you are enjoying this video so far, to leave a like and comment down below the last time you compared yourself to someone else. Okay, tip number 1. I mentioned before that the desire to evaluate yourself is human, but how about instead of comparing yourself to other people, you compare yourself to yourself? I mean, compare yourself to your old self. Create meaningful goals and track your progress. This way, you can objectively evaluate how you're doing without comparing yourself to other people. So this first tip actually is backed by science. We wrote a blog about it a while back, so if you're interested in learning more about this, check it out. Link in the description. Going back to my example of me at the gym, I set fitness goals that matter to me, and I track my progress in numerous ways, like writing down the numbers on my lifts and taking progress pictures. This way, even if I find myself comparing, it doesn't affect me as much because I can see that I am getting better, a little better each week. This is a good alternative for self-evaluations because comparing yourself to someone else is not fair to you, because you can never be that person and they can never be you. No matter what, you can't be someone else. You can only be the best version of you. This brings me to my second piece of advice. If you're going to compare yourself to someone else, then it's only right if you compare every aspect of your life to every aspect of theirs. Doing this, you'll undoubtedly find some aspect of your life where you are actually better off, because nobody is perfect. When I do this, it helps me gain back some confidence in myself and improve my self-worth. You can never know the full details of someone's life, but you can try to imagine it. When I see the person next to me on the treadmill running much faster than me and for longer, and I start to get some of those negative thoughts I mentioned earlier, these are some of the things I say to myself to change my thinking. Okay, he's clearly a better runner than me, but he's probably been training for more years than I have. I just started. He probably spends more time out of the week to train this one thing while I split my time lifting. So I can probably lift more than he can, and even though I'm not as good as a runner as him, I probably have a more well-rounded fitness regimen than him. Now, this type of self-talk helps me regain some of my confidence that I lost and puts the focus back on my goals and my progress. Tip number 3, use comparison as a tool to inspire and not judge. When we watch a superhero movie and we see the hero fly and lift buildings, we don't think, damn, I can't do that, so I must not be good enough. But rather we think his selfless and brave acts during challenging times are inspiring. He pushes himself beyond what he thinks is capable to overcome obstacles. I feel inspired to do the same thing in my life to overcome obstacles and reach my goals. Now do this same thing when comparing yourself to other people in the real world. When I see fitness influencers on Instagram who look like they've been chiseled by God, I used to feel bad about myself, and I still do sometimes. But once I acknowledge that I can never be these people no matter what, I can reframe my thinking and instead be inspired by the grind, the dedication, and the obsession it requires to be successful, and try to bring myself 1% closer to my true potential every day. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope you learned something today. I want you to know that none of this is easy, but with practice, maybe you too can shift your automatic negative thoughts like I've been able to. All the sources that were used for this video will be linked in the description. And if you didn't know, we have a newsletter that you can sign up for. And if you have a mental health related question, we also have a suggestion form that you can ask us literally anything and we'll make a video about it. That'll also be linked in the description. And yeah, that's it for this video.